What is going on, guys? So this is basically the part 2 of my reaction to the entire MrBeast situation and my thoughts on it and everything that's been happening. So there's basically now a second video, and this is my thoughts on that video specifically. There's a video I made before this, which is my reaction and my thoughts. Dogpack404's first video, so you can go watch that. But I'm only solely gonna be reacting, to what I've heard and what I've understood from the second video. So the entire thing started with a Jake Weddle interview. For those of you who don't know who Jake Weddle is, he's also an ex-MrBeast employee. He's also worked for MrBeast. He's been in a lot of MrBeast videos. He talks about how, MrBeast had been faking videos right from the start. According to me, Jake Weddle is a very cool guy. He's a lot like George Janko, Logan Paul's ex-best friend. I feel both of them have very similar personalities. Jake Weddle's funny, George Janko's funny. Jake Weddle's a stand-up comedian. George Janko's hilarious when it comes to all these jokes, and he probably does stand-up too. Anyway, all of that aside, I'm going to be talking about what I understood from the video. So it is pretty insane when Dogpack starts talking about the entire thing and Jake Weddle starts answering questions. He literally says that MrBeast faked a lot of his videos. Even when MrBeast decided to drop a meteor on Jake Weddle's car, it was scripted. He already told Jake Weddle he was going to do it. Granted, the other guy whose car he also dropped a meteor on didn't know it was going to happen. Although if you're going to script one part of it, it's still scripted.
What would you say is the fakest video that you worked on while you were there?
Fakest video that I worked on while I was there. This is the extent of the fakeness that I was involved to. This is admitting to my complicity. I was a writer there, and we were working on a video, crushing my friend's car with a rock or meteor or something. It was a rock or a meteor in the title of it. I can't remember, but he wanted to do a prank where, unbeknownst to the person, he takes a rock, crushes their car, and they're supposed to think a rock came out of space.
We're gonna take a meteor and we're gonna put it on Weddle's car. We're gonna take another meteor and put it on Marcus's car. Both of them have no idea that we're doing this. Weddle and Marcus are probably shocked. They had no idea.
And so that was the one and only time I had to, my car? What? And on the fly, I saw him, because Marcus was in that video. So Marcus is calling his mom. Marcus genuinely had no idea. He genuinely had no idea. But so Marcus is calling his mom, and his mom's freaking out. And I'm like, oh no, they're gonna call my mom next. So I had to text my mom, who had to beg to get the title very quickly. Now I'm texting my mom, I go, Mom, I'm about to call you about the meteor thing. You have no idea? Be surprised. And then I hit send, and then they go, call your mom now. And I call my mom and I tell her, and oh, she should have got the Oscar. Oh my God, on the fly, she goes, what? I'm on vacation.
Mom, my car has been destroyed.
Wait, what?
A meteor hit it.
Jacob, I'm on vacation. Do you understand?
So he talks about how scripted the videos were. He also talks about how torturous it was to work for MrBeast, where he locked him in like basically a solitary, which is basically jail, and he paid him $10,000 a day, which was decided that he was going to pay him $300,000 at the end of it, but he only let him keep how many days he could stay, which was basically $100,000 or something, out of which he also had to pay $44,000 of taxes. Of course, that's how it is when you earn that much. I'm going to roll the clip so that you can hear how Jake was describing the entire situation. He talks about how MrBeast's crew didn't even let him switch off the lights or didn't even turn the lights off. He was literally trying to sleep in the entire brightness of the studio, and there were cameras around him at all times, and which is basically torture, right? You're not even allowed to do that to terrorists apparently, which Dogpack also talks about in his videos, which is utter insanity.
I was already planning on moving to New York, and I had worked at a couple of YouTube companies after Beast, and I had a little bit of change in my pocket, the most change I had in my pocket ever, small potatoes, compared to Beast bullshit, but I thought I had enough to move to New York or whatever, and I get a call from somebody over there, and they go, hey, they want you for a video. I was like, oh, amazing, great, cool, thank God. What's the video? And they tell me the pitch. And they try to make the pitch sound like it's going to be like a walk in the park. The pitch is 100 days in solitary confinement. But don't worry, like you only have to last like 30. We have like a video. They're pitching it like at first it's going to be like a luxury vacation. You're going to have like a hot tub and an ice cream machine. And like part of the video is going to be you deciding like what items am I going to get rid of, today? And it's like the choice. They were like, it's only going to be bad for me to last like 5 days tops when you have like nothing left. You're the first, it's going to be like a breeze for most of it. And by the end of it, after 30 days, you're going to get $300,000 because it's $10,000 a day. And I don't know, man. I grew up poor in North Carolina. I said, excuse me? I'll dance for you if you put that kind of money in my face, sure. They were like, you're going to be locked in this room, and we got to make sure you're on all the time. We're going to have cameras on you all the time, and you're perfect for this because you never shut the fuck up. On paper, I was like, okay, I can do this, and they always cut me out of the videos. They always, and I was, editors have told me that it's because you have too much of a personality. And so with this video, I thought, this is perfect. It's a video they can't cut me out of. I'm the guy. And so I thought, well, if I have to do this, if I have to do solitary confinement in order to do the things I want to do, then I will do that. That I held my tongue and I swallowed my pride and I tried to do one last ride. And I get there. And at first it's fine. And they had just freshly painted the set. You could smell it, which that's probably not good, the smell of fresh paint in your surroundings for the next XYZ time. It looked good on the visual. It looks good on camera. It's movie magic bullshit. It was a terrible facility. It was in one of the studios. They had to get a separate tank for septic stuff. There was a hot tub in it. There was an ice cream machine. Things were cool and funny on paper. But when you think about stuff, a hot tub that's not connected to a filtration system, give it 3 days, it's gonna stink. There's not a hot water mechanism. So the hot tub was a lukewarm tub at best, which was a silly complaint, but the shower was always cold, and you're taking a quick shower, and I had cameras 24/7 on me, and the ice cream machine, let's talk about that for a second. The ice cream machine has 2 modes, on, and off, reeking of smelly dairy, mildew, so I got to choose which sense was assaulted at a time. I couldn't have all of them good. So the little things started to build up. There was the bug thing wasn't terrible, but it was a factor. And at first it was fine, and you're playing it up because it's a video. And it got to a point where they weren't turning the lights off. I asked them, I said, can we have nighttime hours? And they said no, because it would fuck up the time-lapse shots. The time-lapse of what? Me sleeping? Or me not sleeping? Yeah, I saw in other videos they did oh, you're gonna get XYZ hours of sunlight. Oh, great! Want to know how they figured that one out? I didn't have it. One of the things was you got to take away your clock, so you didn't know what time it was. Okay, I got no access to sun. I got no access to clock. I don't know, the lights are on me all the time. I wasn't sleeping. I could not sleep, and I have insomnia problems now. But they might have started there. I had good people looking out for me. I had a lot of good people looking out for me, saying, "This, we gotta stop." So I just wanted to turn the lights off, and I'm vocalizing to people, "I wish the lights would turn off." And I go up to my friend, my good friend, and I go, "They're not turning the lights off." He goes, "What? That's a war crime. We're not allowed to do that to terrorists." Oh, good. 24 hours breaking the Geneva Convention, I guess, is what we're doing. So, they're giving me, melatonin, it's not helping, and then Jimmy would come in every other day for an hour, to check in on me because he's doing other stuff. I'm just the guy in the cage over here. He'll come back to me in a minute. And so he'd come by, he'd get the shots, he'd leave. Sometimes he'd have a note with the director over the phone. That would really piss me off. This is the note I got from the director, from Jimmy, when I'm receiving some cash. He said, Jimmy said, can you say to the camera how thankful you are that now you can pay back your student loans? You know how hard it was to do a take of that? And pretend to make it genuine? I don't want to have student loans. I don't want to be in a cage. But Jimmy's the guy with the money, and if you do what he says, he'll do what you want. You want your student loans paid off? You just be in this cage. And you have power over people. When one person doesn't have resources and the other one does, and they hold it over your head, and you go, of course, yeah, I agreed to it. I needed it, of course. Just something about like having the cameras on me all the time. Like I was not having a good time, but we were filming a video, so I was trying my best to be funny. You know, I'm a dark comic. You know, I got bits about. I had a very traumatic life. I have my dad is in jail for sexual assault of a minor. You know, so this kind of stuff is very near and dear to my heart. You know, I don't fuck around with this shit. Yeah, I have jokes about that in my act. You know, I joke about it because that's what you do in a traumatic experience. You know, abusive relationships. I get out of it. The first thing I do is I do a typine about it. You know, so I'm in this situation where my mental health is not good. My physical health is getting worse, but we're filming. So I'm doing bits. I'm talking to the camera. And I'm being, you know, like, hey, it's been a couple days. I'm not doing so hot, you know, which if I'm filming a video, that's what I should be doing for the camera, but it was too real. If they're faking videos, why couldn't we fake this one? You know, if we're allowed to let these cast members have some time off of this difficult challenge, how come we couldn't turn the lights off? How come we couldn't maybe not have some time-lapse footage for 10 seconds?
Did you try to get out?
Yes! I was starting to calculate, I don't know if I could do 30. How much can I, well, how can I manage to get out of here sooner and still have a video and still have some cash and get the plug, man. I did. Since we were doing time-lapse shots and since they insisted on time-lapse shots, I said, all right, we're going to do time-lapse shots bet. I put my YouTube on with the whiteboard they gave me. And I was like, all right, yeah, go ahead and scrub that footage. You know, you got that whiteboard. Oh no, either that goes in or this footage is unusable. And then, you know, James Warren came in and erased it. You know, fucking, you know, don't put that. Hey, we can torture him. Don't you dare let him get a plug in there. You know.
So my take on this clip that you just watched is a lot like this, right? Jake clearly says that MrBeast never liked him and he never liked MrBeast. And conveniently, MrBeast never made any of his friends like Chandler or Kris or whoever it was at that time who were his friends. He never made any of these guys, you know, do a solitary video like this because I think he knew it was going to be torturous for them and he didn't want to do it to people he actually liked. So he conveniently chose Jake Weddle and made him do this because clearly Jake says that MrBeast never liked him. I feel MrBeast has wantedly done this to somebody he doesn't like, which is insane because obviously if Chandler was supposed to be locked in the solitary and he told MrBeast's crew to turn the lights off, they would do it immediately. But conveniently, Weddle, who nobody really likes in the MrBeast crew, specifically MrBeast, couldn't tell MrBeast or the crew to turn off the lights. And even if he did, nobody listened to him because he's not as loved as Chandler or Kris used to be by the entire MrBeast crew and MrBeast himself, which is very convenient because MrBeast could literally wantedly torture him and there's nothing anybody could ever say about it because like he was getting paid for the video. So this is too insane to me, right? That you could go to an extent of wanting to make this video not fake, but you can fake other videos which are pretty easy. How hard would it have been to get an actual reaction from Jake Weddle while dropping a meteor on his car compared to making Jake Weddle stay in a solitary? What do you think is easier to get, you know, a real video out of? They could have easily skipped a few parts where Jake, you know, there was no camera on Jake and they could have let him go and sleep if they wanted to fake videos. And the least they could have done is turned off the light, but they decided to make this video as realistic as possible. And the easy videos where all they had to do was get reactions while dropping meteors on other people's cars, they have gone and faked those videos, which makes utterly no sense to me. Like I would do it the other way around. First of all, I'm not even going to put somebody in a solitary for like 30 days, which is like stupid. One more major incident Jake talks about is when basically he wanted a higher pay and he spoke to somebody over there who was a writer who had to influence MrBeast to get Jake a higher pay. When Jake went and spoke to him, he tried to do whatever he can without rocking the boat with MrBeast. All he did was, you know, speak to the team and tell them that this guy, Jake Weddle, wanted a higher pay. And what happened was when the other guy, the writer, went and spoke to MrBeast's team, they gave Jake and him a severance package and kicked them out the next day.
If I was working on a TV show in the 90s, on a show that was a quarter as successful, I could retire today. But now I make dog shit pay, making gajillionaires more money. And I just walked into the writer's room, and that's one of the reasons why I left. was because I just walked in there and asked for not necessarily a gajillion dollars, but maybe a salary that was more proportional to the work I was doing, given how much revenue that work was doing. And then, I talked about that, and I talked about the Writers Guild and how this is what Writers Guild industry standard is for the streaming internet content with ads. I thought that was the closest thing to YouTube, and I didn't even bring up residuals, because oh my God, if I got residuals for every video I worked on, boy howdy, I could retire. But the other thing I talked about was there was another writer there, older comic, black guy. He had a kid, and I got paid more than him, and I thought that was wild because he was older than me, had a child. We're doing the exact same job, and I'm some 20-year-old fuckhead white guy. Why am I getting paid more than him? I brought that up, and one of the things I didn't like about the way some of the Beast stuff shook out was I feel really guilty about the way this shook out. I was talking to this other writer, it's fucked up, that's how the pay is, and I want you to get paid more, because you deserve to get paid more. I don't have a kid. And he didn't want to rock the boat. He desperately didn't want to rock the boat. He's just, I like my job. I like, because when you grow up with, nothing, not to say that he did, but I know I did, you get a little something, you don't want to lose it. So he didn't want to rock the boat. But he said, hey man, if that's how you feel, if that's I trust you. He stood with me. He went to that meeting with me. And I said at my piece, and he backed me up. I said, I need XYZ or I'm out of here. And they said, bet. And they gave me a severance check the next day. And they gave him a severance check the next day. And if I knew he was going to lose his job too, I wouldn't have done it. Me, I was over the moon. I was like, you're going to give me a check and I get to leave? I don't get to deal with the how many Orbeez can I fit up my asshole every day, and I get to go home and you're going to pay me to leave. I was over the moon. And he was devastated. He did not want. He just wanted to be in the room, And I really regret that.
They gave Jake and him a severance package and kicked them out the next day, which is utterly insane to me. And apparently the guy they kicked out, the guy who was helping Jake, was married and also had a kid and basically had a family to raise. But what MrBeast's crew and MrBeast decided to do was kick him out just because he had asked for something, which is a higher pay, which people do in literally every job. Jake also talks about how guilty he feels for going and asking that person to help him. And Jake talks about how bad he feels that because of him, that guy lost his job and he couldn't, he had the stress of taking care of his family, and Jake would have just preferred if his job had gone and not the other guys, which from the video you can clearly see it's a genuine concern, right? When somebody really talks from their heart, it's a genuine concern. But then Jake says that when MrBeast cries, he doesn't even really cry. He wipes tears and pretends like he's crying because he's a sociopath. He doesn't really care about people. The shocking part is Jake also talks about how MrBeast made him say, stuff like, thank you for helping me with my tuition fees and this money was so helpful to me. The money that he won by staying in the overnight solitary confinement thing. When Jake didn't even have any student loans and MrBeast was literally telling him to lie and, cry on camera saying, thank you, because crying on camera is the good thing for MrBeast and that's how he's made his entire audience. Going out and giving money to the homeless and record them cry. And Jake also says that recording people cry is not the real genuine way of doing something good for somebody. If you really want to do something good with a genuine heart, don't go out and, record them crying and give them money, because you're making 100 times of what you've given them from them crying by posting them crying on YouTube, which is absolutely right.
Do you think Jimmy really enjoys doing good and helping people?
I think Jimmy wants to be the best YouTuber. I think he is laser focused on one goal. And I think whatever he has to do to achieve that goal, he'll do. And I think it was the smartest decision for him that he calculated, because he's very good with numbers. If I donate to charity, people can't say I'm shitty. If I give this homeless guy 10K, what do you mean I'm a bad guy? But I've always thought, if you're going to do something nice for somebody and you stick a camera in their face while you do it, that you didn't do a nice thing for somebody. You gained something. There was a homeless guy on the street and you saw an opportunity for yourself and your image, and you gave one guy $10,000 who needed it to eat, and now the revenue you generated from that video is way more than what you gave. I think when he's generous on camera, it's the least authentic thing in the world. There's an element of, oh, hey, you're crying. That's so good for camera. I'm so glad if you're crying because you're so thankful that you got XYZ, and then you go, oh, I'm so glad he needed it that bad so I could come in and, can you cry more? Oh, it's so good for the camera if you could. Oh, it made me uncomfortable that I was working there, and I didn't like it, and I vocalized it sometimes, and I think that's why I wasn't on camera as much as they said I was going to be. I was told at one point that I was going to be like fourth banana, it was going to be Jimmy, Chris, Chandler, me, and then that never happened. I remember talking about that, like, hey, I thought my contract said XYZ. And then I got the severance checks. So, whatever, all that regard.
MrBeast and his entire channel has been running on sympathy. All they keep doing is, giving stuff to people, record them cry, tell them to cry more, tell them about how grateful, they are to MrBeast. Half the time, it's not even random people, it's MrBeast's employees, which all of it is too crazy, to see what all is going on and to see a YouTuber you've been watching for so many years, come out and do all of this crap, and half of it is unbelievable, but unfortunately these are all people who work closely with MrBeast, so I'm not going to obviously argue and give him too much of a benefit of the doubt, because it's probably true when your ex-employee comes out and cries on camera when you record an interview. So yeah, it is what it is, right? You can't really change the truth however badly you don't want it to be the truth, and I honestly thought Jimmy was a good guy and he did everything to help people around him, but seems like that's not the case, which is really saddening and disheartening for people who've been watching MrBeast for so many years. Anyway, that's all I gotta say about the situation. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you'll enjoy the video. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe for more. And no hate to anybody. I'm just, this is what I feel about the entire situation. I don't feel great about the entire thing either, like thinking about it, talking about it, but it has to be spoken about when somebody you've been watching. I've made a lot of videos, reacting to MrBeast, like shots, I'm going to be so happy watching MrBeast and this and that. So when I'm going to be doing good things and, making good reacting videos like that, then I also have to talk about stuff which is not so easy to talk about. So yeah, I'm talking about that too. That's about it. Thank you guys so much for watching and peace out.